Hello everyone, welcome back to the Plunder Den. In this week's episode, we're going to take a look at FirelockGames' new release, Port Royale. So I'm super excited. I have a copy of the new game, Port Royale, that FirelockGames has just released. And they actually have just sent out all the packages to the original backers from the Kickstarter. That's taking place right now. And it's available online on pre-order on their website. It's been released, and I wanted to kind of do an unboxing and kind of take a look at it. Some of the things that I really liked about the whole set, definitely a terrain aspect of it. And as you know, watching this channel, I kind of had a connection to this one for sure. Building certain terrain pieces that were used in some of the photography in the instruction manual and on the box art. And so it's really cool to be a part of this project. And yeah, I really wanted to get a copy of it in my hands and take a look at it. FirelockGames was nice enough to send me a copy so I can take a look at it and share it with you guys today. So we're going to kind of pretty deep dive. I'm going to do an unboxing of the whole, what comes in the kit. And then we're going to take a look at some aspects of it. I have a pass-through of the entire table I've had all set up. So you guys can see. We're going to look at some of the miniatures that you get in it. And I've completed them because it was similar to the ones in the Raise the Black. I can show you some of the finished ones I did. And I've actually done a video covering that specifically about Raise the Black miniatures. You can take a look at that video and you see how I built some of these things. I even built a little terrain scatter bit that's in there, and all those things are available in this box set because that sprue is actually inside this, and we'll get to that when we get through there. I'll explain it a little bit further. But just because some touch on some solo play, some rules on there that I find very interesting, and then the terrain itself, it's got like a hard cardboard terrain, really good terrain, and I kind of go briefly touch on me assembling those and kind of what it looks like on the table when it's all set up. So kind of a bunch of things I want to look at in this and want to share with you guys. All right, so let's take a look at the box here. So this is it right here. It's a fair sized box, but you get everything inside of there. I'll just take a look in the back. You get kind of see, you got some terrain, you got all your pieces and tools, dice, miniatures, and some scatter bits that you get on there, and that sprue I was talking about. And you got, so this is all you really, there's a mat in here too, it's not in the picture, but there's a mat in here to play on. And I really like that mat. Well, we're going to take a really close look at that mat. The details on it are really, really nice. And then there's just one of the photos of the some of that terrain that I built for FirelockGames. It's really cool. It looks awesome on the back of this box. That was like a demo table that I built for them. Really cool. All right, so let's get to the table and let's go open the box first and take a look at that first. Just want to start off by saying, if you guys like what we're doing here in the Plunder Den, make sure you smash that like button and consider subscribing to the Plunder Den and get first-hand information when I do these kind of unboxings or projects. And I guess I better start off in telling you what Port Royale is all about. So Port Royale is a skirmish-style game, usually played on a 2x2 mat. It's more of a warband kind of feel to it, opposed to Blood and Plunder. It's more of units. This is more individual models. It does have the models themselves based on the characteristics. There could be some of the units from Blood and Plunder, like sailors and militia, and they would keep some of the characteristics from those types of units that carry over into this game. So shoot and attack and their kind of resolve and those kind of things are similar to the Blood and Plunder. Now, this other little deck on the side has some cards that help you play the game. They're reference cards, especially for solo play. And we're going to go take a deeper dive into this little deck and go through all the different things that are in here. But they help you. A lot of the rules are in the book. But it's nice to have these reference cards on the table, a little easier to read, especially when it comes to events and definitely solo play, and I'll explain that in a minute. So we're going to get this box opened very carefully, and we're going to take a look at what comes inside this box first before we take a look at those cards. And we'll do a good look through the instruction manual as well and take a look at some of that stuff. And kind of go through the book itself and some of the different things that are in it. I also want to do a special shout out for Roberto Oeto, who did the photography and really brought that terrain that I built to life in this book, and absolutely amazing. I also want to do another shout out for Lillian Ferreira, who did the amazing graphic designs and the cover art, and also just outstanding. She does an amazing job on every one of these projects for FirelockGames. It's so awesome, and again, just adds to the whole look of this book and the box and everything. So let's take a look what's inside of this starter set. So it looks like we got a package right at the top. Looks like there was a map of Port Royale, and this is the punch-out terrain I was talking about in the intro. So it's kind of like a hard cardboard. They're really sturdy, great graphics on it, and what I really like about the graphics on it is there's a lot of historical elements to it, and I'll explain to it when I'm going to pull all these cards apart, and we're going to look at each one of them and just kind of talk about them a little bit. Because they're so really cool. So these ones are a little bit smaller. You got your little scatter bits, and you can see one side is all the wall pieces, and then they pop out real easy. And then the other ones, the smaller bits there, those are actually the legs that sit in those slots, and that's how they stand up. Some of them require more, some of them lock into each other. It's kind of like a corner wall, but these little smaller ones are just a single piece, which is kind of cool because you can just kind of make the size of the building any way you want. You can add those little bit extras on there. So this is that, I would say, part of a warehouse. It's a crane on there on the front. One of the things I wanted to mention is the red brick. I did see a lot of references when I did the historical searches into building the game table. Red brick was in a lot of the buildings in there, so that was something that was pretty common. But look at all the details on the wood grains on here. There's going to be levels on some of these tables. This one actually has a kind of a roof on it, which is really cool. So it's just portions of it. So you got like 3 major structures, and then you got a whole bunch of other ones. This is the other thing I want to talk about. They actually captured the liquefaction when the earthquake happened. It turned the sand into liquid, and a lot of stuff got sucked into the earth. So they kind of illustrated that actually on some of the pieces, which is super cool. So just adding those historical touches to this game. The colors mainly were pretty bland on the outside, but that's historically correct, but they have a lot of different colors on the inside of the walls, which is really neat as well. Now those other pieces that look kind of like they're actually ladders. They punch out into the ladders, so there's elevation in this game is definitely an aspect of it, and they have 4 ladders in there, so you can add some of that to some of your terrain. Now these are all your fatigue and your reload markers, very similar to Blood and Plunder. They got ones for hiding. That's what the kind of crouching down, kind of similar to the other ones. And then they have those are your fortune tokens, which you use a lot to use for paying for things in the game. And then you got all your I guess treasure that you can capture, and they have different values on the bottom. You got little measuring sticks on here, so everything you need to play the game right there on that sprue. And again, they just pop out easy inside the hard cardboard. These are the instructions for the terrain. Super easy. It wasn't hard to build. It took me about 20 minutes to slap them all together. It wasn't hard at all. So we're going to look at that map in a sec. I want to open this map first. This is actually a map. So you get a little extra map of Port Royale. There is one at the beginning of the book, but this one's a pull-out poster that you can put up. I probably will, like my Raise the Black poster that I got in my last one. I'll probably put it up somewhere in a frame in the Plunder Den. Just add to what's already going on here. And it shows you on the map what parts of the city survived and which ones slipped into the ocean. So it's kind of marked on this map. So there was a portion of the city that did survive the initial earthquake and tsunami, and that's kind of what you're playing in this game. I understand that they're looking at doing some water potential expansions and stuff like that in the future, but for now, mostly land-based on here. But I'm sure that there will be other things, expansions to this game in the future. All right, so let's open the mat. I can't open it all because I can't fit it on the screen. I'm actually doing this on my hobby table, not on the game table. I actually have my Blood and Valor stuff all set up over there, so I was going to kind of just doing this unboxing right away here. But look at the details. Like, the road's awesome. You got it torn apart from the earthquake, and you got some kind of like back roads, dirt roads on here. You got a little plant life going on here. The print is really well done, and it looks great when you have it on the table. It looks fantastic, and we're going to look at that with all the terrain on it and stuff. This is a great starter. Like, you can do a lot of things with this and make the game really exciting with just what's in this box. Of course, you can add pieces, or you can be like me and build whole game tables and and add to that. Here's another picture of that terrain I built on the back there. It's similar to the outer box. And then let's go look at the miniatures. So we got a bag here. We'll have some sprues. And let's take a look at what's in here. I'm pretty sure the 2 sprues in here, you actually got 3 sprues. You got 2 sailor sprues, which makes up the bulk of your characters. Now, the sailor sprues, if you built them before, they have a vast diversity on them. You can have like lanceros out of there. You can do militia out of there. You can do just pirates with rifles or with pistols, or you can have double-handed weapons, axes and swords. Weapons are a little more important in this game, more so than, let's say, Blood and Plunder. There's some special rules and stuff for different things, but you have all the options you need on these sailor sprues. Now, you got all sorts of different heads on here, and these are interchangeable. Like, if you go ahead and buy some of the other ones, like the native box or the soldier box or the militia box, you can build virtually anything that's in Blood and Plunder, and you can have a wide range of characters for Port Royale. You can build anything, but those sailor sprues are excellent for a starter. You can do whatever you want in there. So this one actually came as a box of plunder, I believe, in the Raise the Black, and it has a generic commander in there, which you use. And then it has the monk character, which is really cool. And then there's a version of Blackbeard that's on here that you can use. And there's 4 casualty markers, which are awesome. And then you have like a bunch of scatter bits. So I'll show you a little scatter bit I built on there that you can actually make your own little scatter bits. I mean, I know they have the cardboard punch-out ones, but you can make a few of your own. They got little bags and barrels and chests and other stuff on here. There's a little monkey on here, which you want to add a little flair to it, or there's a parrot. There's some other things that you can add. There's a drum if you want to make an instrument, or like somebody that's playing an instrument. So there's a lot of cool stuff on that set. You can add some other things. Here's the instructions for it. Again, really simple construction on both of these. Not difficult. And the sailor sprue, I do encourage you to try different ways of doing it. So there's all the bases, and of course you get dice. They usually, when you roll your dice, you roll 2 black, 1 white. There's different rules for having 3 dice. Everybody likes to throw a little more dice than a single dice, right? So I'm just going to show you. I'm not going to bother watching me cut open the book. You're going to assume that I did a well job. I did it off camera, so I'd make sure I didn't cut anything. We're going to take a look at the instruction manual itself now. So it's a soft cover book. Really, really nice. Like I said, the prints and stuff in it. This is more for me personally, but it was really exciting to see my name in the book there, in the terrain design. It was really cool. It's really cool to see yourself in print, and it was really nice to be a part of this project. So I thought that was really, really neat. All right, so again, just showing you some of the pictures that were taken of that terrain. But essentially, you got an overview. It's similar to most FirelockGames instructions, kind of game basics, some things that you're going to need, basic rules of the games. In here, kind of describe some of the stuff you get in the box, the dice, the tokens, and kind of how they're used. Instructions on how line of sight works. game turns, how that works. And I love, like I said, I love the pictures in here. They're really awesome. I really liked the way they look. Activations. Again, this is everything you need to play the game in here. Um, Taking actions, how that goes about. So they have it split into section categories. It's kind of like the Blood and Plunder instructions, where you had, ship battles and basics and how you do attack and how you do actions. There's some things in here that you can do which are kind of neat. There's a kind of a you can jump from building to building. There's rules for that. But in the example there, they have the person falling right to the ground. And this is probably my favorite picture in the entire book. I absolutely love this picture. It's so cool. How we brought the terrain alive with that moonlighting and the fighting on top of the rooftop. It's so cool. All right, so this section's on game board terrain, which is super important. What kind of terrain and what, they have a terrain that's hardcover or stuff that's difficult to travel through depending on the wreckage. And there's different rules for different types of terrain in here. How to create your company, which is super important. How to build your forces. And character types. There's different character types in here. Character factions. So this goes into the different factions. We got the Jamaican Pirates is one. We got the French Buccaneers. And we got Spanish Guarda Costa. And we got the Carib Raiders. Those are really cool. Maroons, which is awesome. That's a faction they added just recently in Race of Black, and now they've incorporated it into this, which is super awesome. Forces for the Crown, so kind of your local authorities, administrative people. There was a British colony, so there was some authority there. Dutch Capers, and get some Dutch action going on in there, which is cool. Special rules for weapons. Remember I talked about it earlier on that there was some special rules depending on what kind of weapons you have. It's a little more in-depth than Blood and Plunder. More of the... It is just on the character, but there's a lot more information on individual weapons, which is really cool. There's different types of scenarios. Now, those scenarios are actually also on the cards. So if you want to randomly pick scenarios from the cards, they're on there. Then there's rules for campaign, which I think really brings this game alive is when you play in campaign modes. I mean, obviously the other areas are really cool too. Just playing a one-off game, really quick game if you want to get something in. This game plays pretty fast, so... and then there's solo rules and different types of solo rules, not just one type of solo rule. There's different ones depending on what you want to play. You can even play a group solo. And they have all the rules in there and how that works. So an appendix... glossary, help you find terms and stuff, which is great, which they add in a lot of their books. I think these are kind of like something you can photocopy and have all your faction or your card or your team on there. Keep track of their, from in a campaign mode, you can keep it all track on these cards there, which are really cool. And then they have quick reference sheets, which is another thing that FirelockGames does a lot in their books. So you can just photocopy these, and sometimes you just need a quick reference of the rules. It's easier to pull out the whole rule book every time. And some advertising for some of your other games. And then they have copies of the tokens in here too. Just in case if you only bought the instructions, you still could, have the things you need for the game. All right, so let's open the deck up here and take a look what's in here. I'm just going to shuffle through these cards and take a look at the different stuff. So we got weapon reference cards. So there was weapon rules, but these are the reference cards. And, if you take a look at these, they have different types of weapons and their characteristics right here on these reference cards. There's 3 of those in the pack here. So then we got events. These are all the events that potentially could happen. So kind of if when you're doing initiative, if you don't actually, you end up as a tie, this is where you end up, it could end up drawing an event. So you can randomly pick from here. You can draw a card from the deck. And then there's all sorts of different types of things that could happen during the game. Anything from wild beasts to, aftershocks or anything to add a little flavor to the game there, that these things could happen, right? And then this one here is scenarios, but it's kind of more like I would say more like Blood and Steel, where you have kind of some extra objectives in the game. And other things that you can chase after, other than the whole overall arching scenario. But there's also, you can add some other things into it. Maybe you're chasing after a certain particular treasure, or there's a whole bunch of different things in here that you can add to it. It's got low visibility, so it's other things that can alter the game play of the overall scenario. So this is the scenario itself. Again, it was in the instruction manual. They had all of them in there, but it's cool to have these reference cards. And if you want to, let's say you just want to do a random scenario, and you just draw a card, just shuffle this deck up and pull it out, especially if you're doing a solo play or something, and pick out something different, or a campaign. Maybe you want to pick out 3 in a row or something like that, and those are the 3 missions that you're going to be playing. Now on here it says more strike points. What they're referring to on the back of these cards is this is more for solo play. So depending on how your force is doing, so let's say you have more strike points, or you have less strike points, or you're even, there's different characteristics based on the deck of cards you pull. You can see there's like spades and stuff like that on here, which actually can give you special characteristics. So instead of using fortune points in a solo play, you can draw cards and use these other ones here that are on these. You draw a card from here as well. So let's say that the game is tied. Really, you have equal amount of points. Then you would pull from this deck here. The more strike points was the one we just looked at, and then there's less strike points is the one we're about to go into. But you can see with different suits of cards from a deck of cards, you can actually change the outcome essentially. And normally you would pay fortune points for that when you're playing with another player. But on a solo play, then you can just actually get that randomly selected and picked from the cards you draw. So it's kind of cool. It adds a little element to it. So these cards are very handy to have for solo play and for just regular play. So we're just going to take a brief closer look at the solo play here. And I just want to highlight it again. I know we just discussed it in the previous segment. But I just wanted to show you that there's different types of solo play in here, and it can be done with different aspects. The cards are really important, I would say, for determining kind of what you see if you roll your dice, you can see what kind of action they're going to do, right? So there's 1 through 7, and there's different actions attached to it, and the extra added bonuses at the top. See, there's this club there, you get a +1 to actions for that round of that card you pull. Only if you have more strike points, right? So depending on where you are in the game, you get to pull, you get those extra actions, but then you also roll a dice for, what kind of action is that the person that you're playing. Well, it's not really a person, it's yourself, but determine what they do. Just a closer look at the scenario. So you have the whole scenario written on the card here, just in a brief map. It shows you how to set it up. Stockpile. This is like those extra scenarios or extra flavor you can add to each one of those missions. Event cards, again. If there's a tie determining who goes first, that could lead to an event. You pull an event card, which could change the battlefield. And then there's these quick reference cards for the weapons that I talked about already. I just wanted to give you a closer look at them, and that's why I kind of went down on the map on here, opposed to me just opening the box. They're kind of sorted out so you can see them a little bit better. So this is me slapping the terrain together. Like I said, it took me like 20 minutes to slap this together. It was really easy. They fit together nice. The ladders it's all pretty sturdy. Like, this is really strong cardboard. I didn't have any damage. It wasn't hard to snap them together. They fit together tightly so they don't fall apart, which is good. You got all sorts of little scatter wall bits. You got larger pieces. There's elevation on here. Everything you need to kind of have different aspects of the game being played. So I'm going to take a closer look at some of the terrain pieces. So everything that's on this little piece here that I built is actually on that sprue that comes in this box set. And I did a video on constructing that. Like I mentioned, I did one where I painted raised the black miniatures. That's also part of it. I did that scatter bit. I'm just showing you some of the casualty markers. This is a monk that comes in the set. These are, of course, the ones that I've finished and painted already. But I just wanted to show you some of the different miniatures and what they could look like, right? So this is Blackbeard that's in that set. That's the exact miniature that comes with this set. And we got over here, this is your standard commander. I was using him as a Spanish commander in this particular game. But you could paint him any which way you want. I have another one that's a British commander, a French commander. It's your standard commander that you could pretty well use for anything. He's a European commander, let's just say. And then I want to show you some of the sailor sprues and what they could look like. So I made this one kind of into a Lancero. So these are all these parts that are on this guy. It came off the sailor sprue. And I have some on here that I'm not going to show you because they have parts of the native sprue on it. But again, I recommend you get some of those other ones if you want and build a nice variety. But this guy's all from the sailor. He's a pirate from all this sailor sprue stuff. There's also another pirate that I built. I have lots of knives on these guys. Like all the cool knives and other stuff that's in the set. You can add to your little pirate. And I got another one over here with double swords, so you can have double weapons in this game, which has extra meaning in it. And he's got an axe, so he's got all sorts of, like, really what they're carrying really is important in this game, right? The weapons that they're carrying. So this guy's got some double pistols, he's got a sword, he's got some knives. He's ready for action. So just a couple of the different pirates that I made just using that sailor sprue. It really, there's quite you can build from that. All right, so let's take a look at the finished table. Was everything set up, all the pieces out? Just kind of take a pass through here. I just want to show you some of the different angles you can get. Those are the treasure you're trying to capture. And I kind of like the way the mat is. It's got some city streets and side roads, so you can kind of set your buildings up on corners. That's the way I set up. You don't have to do it that way. You can do it any way you want. But it kind of fit nicely within the roads. So you got some different paths you can get through and take a look at that. And I like the way it looks. Like, I really like that muddy road or the gravel road there and the stones and stuff. It looks really cool. And then, of course, the elevations on here that help you. So I got different types of elevations, the lower parts on here. It is really cool set. I really like the terrain and all the bits that come with it. Now, everything comes in this box, so you got to glue some miniatures together, but other than that, everything is ready to go. Now, I do encourage you to paint your miniatures. It gives a little more life to it. But all the terrain is already printed and the mats are already good to go. And so you already have a lot of colors and stuff already laid out for you in this set. You're just adding some color to the miniatures. And I just wanted to give you a pass through. You can see all these different angles that I'm kind of going through my camera. You can shoot down from there and there's a guy up down at the bottom can shoot up, and these guys hiding in the wall here. Maybe this guy waiting to charge across. Really, I'm just trying to illustrate here that show you all the different options that you can set up on here and make this game really interesting with what's in the box. All right, so that's pretty much it for this episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I can't wait to share you what's coming up in the future here. Obviously, there's going to be some Adepticon coverage, but the next project that I'm working on actually has, the only hint I'm going to give you, has a South Park connection to it, which will be really exciting to share with you guys and kind of leading the projects going forward. All right, everyone, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.